There are claims that Russia is promoting the use of nuclear weapons, with state propaganda trying to make Russians think a nuclear war isn't such a bad thing. In an interview with the BBC, the Russian journalist and the Nobel Peace Prize laureate Dmitry Muratov said state TV channels have been talking about a nuclear tsunami that would wash away America, and said he couldn't rule out President Putin pressing the nuclear button. He's been speaking to the BBC's Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg.
2 generations have lived without the threat of nuclear war. But this period is over. Will Putin press the nuclear button or won't he? Who knows? No one knows this.
Many people in the West say Putin would never go nuclear. He's just bluffing.
Look, in Russia, we see how propaganda is preparing people to think that nuclear war isn't a bad thing. On state TV channels here, nuclear war and nuclear weapons are promoted as if they're advertising pet food. They announce, we've got this missile, that missile, another kind of missile. And they talk about a nuclear tsunami that would wash away America. People in Russia have been irradiated by propaganda. Propaganda is a type of radiation. Everyone is susceptible to it, not just Russians. In Russia, propaganda is 12 TV channels, tens of thousands of newspapers, social media like the Russian version of Facebook, that serves completely the state ideology.
If tomorrow the propaganda suddenly stops, if it all goes quiet, what would Russians think then? What would they say?
Our younger generation is wonderful. They're well educated. Nearly 1 million Russians have left the country. Many of those who've stayed are categorically against what is happening in Ukraine. They are against the hell Russia has created there. I am convinced that as soon as the propaganda stops, this generation and everyone else with common sense will speak out. They're already doing so. 21,000 administrative and criminal cases have been opened against people who've protested.
What kind of a future do you see for Russia?
Never again will there be normal relations between the peoples of Russia and Ukraine. Never. Ukraine will not be able to come to terms with this tragedy. In Russia, political repression will continue against all opponents of the regime. My only hope lies with the young generation that sees the world as a friend, not as an enemy, that wants Russia to be loved and for Russia to love the world. My only hope is that this generation outlives me and Putin.